Hey yo, Pierre, you want to come do this music video editing breakdown? No? Alright, I'll do it. What's up guys, my name's Justin Odisho, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at Playboi Carti's Magnolia music video, and I'm going to be breaking down some of the editing effects that I've seen in it. So there's a lot going on in this video. I'm going to try to take a little bit more of a bird's eye approach, and I've actually already made a ton of tutorials that are really related that will help you, that I'll link in the description as we go on. So if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. I have a whole playlist of these if you enjoy this, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Justin Odisho to stay in touch with me, and let's get started. Now this is a video produced by AWGE, which is ASAP Mob or ASAP Rocky's kind of collective art and production group. They're the same people that make up his cool Instagram with the collage feed, which I've done a tutorial on. If anyone knows what that stands for, let me know. I think it's kind of a secret acronym. And I'm going to break it down into three main categories, and that's distortion effects, which are like this mirroring and kaleidoscope that you see and all that liquefied look that you get. Two is masking and keying effects, which one of the main characteristic editing effects in this video is the transition where one part of the video will pop up first and then the rest of that scene will pop up. Notable example right here with the shoe, you can see it's just a cutout of the next video frame, and then they bring the whole thing in eventually, and so on. That happens a couple times in this video. And then the third category I'd say is timer mapping and speed effects. So that glitchy fast forward rewind that happens, the little time glitch effects, and I've done tutorials on pretty much all of these before. So now that we've broken down the different categories, let's break down some specific effects. And one that we see right here in this screenshot, there's a bit of composition going on with masking, keying, and a bunch of mirror, kaleidoscope, and liquefy effects. So there's actually a behind the scenes video that was kind of circulating of when they were shooting this scene, and it's just ASAP Rocky and Playboi Carti against kind of a green constructed wall. So they can use that green color to key things out using things like the Ultra Key and just lay it on top of other video. So let's open up Premiere Pro. I've got some video laying on this track here, and I'll show you guys how you could get that crazy mirror effect going on. And it's really simple. You just stack a couple mirrors. So I'll type in mirror in the effects panel. It's in the distort video effects folder, which we're going to be in a lot. You click it, and that creates a mirror or a line of symmetry for you. So if we go to the effects control panel, we can move that reflection center, so X and Y. We can move the X-axis to the left. Now we get a little bit of X-axis reflection. Now we can add one more mirror. So I can stack this effect on top of itself twice. And this time, let's move the X-axis over. However, we're also going to adjust the rotation angle, so we're flipping it vertically. So we'll just do 90 degrees, and we'll move the Y as well. Now what we've done is we've created a cool symmetrical or kaleidoscope type of video that you see in the still frames in the Playboi Carti video. However, there's a bit more stacking, distortion, and stylization that goes into this, and you can achieve similar warpy effects in Premiere Pro with two effects that I would suggest. One is called the wave warp, and the other is turbulent displace. So under video effects, distort, you see all of these different effects that will help you out. Pretty much you can play around with all of these really. So let's click and add that wave warp on there, and let's increase that size a lot because we don't want all those little waves showing. So wave width, let's increase that. Wave height, increase that a lot, and let's pin the edges onto all edges. That means it pins the pixels on the edges. And this effect actually moves kind of like a wave, but you can turn off the wave speed. That's at 1 right now. You can make it something like 0.1, and then it won't really undulate up and down as much. So now you've got a distorted wavy look for you to cut and interject between scenes. But there's a lot more going on than just the mirror and wave. There's some very cool masking effects where effects are done just on one person. So like in this scene at 7 seconds, what they've done is they've created a noise, or they've taken a television noise graphic and they've added these wave and turbulent distortion effects on them, and then they've actually masked them out to only appear on an object. Now I actually have an After Effects tutorial on this, and you're going to be wanting to use rotoscoping to select out your object and apply effects within it. Basically, in After Effects, if you have a clip open, there's a tool called the Roto Brush, and you can find it right up here called Roto Brush that allows you to select out certain objects. So you can just use this brush, select out this car. After Effects will do a good job guessing what you're trying to select, and then you can adjust this gray portion and press freeze, and it will go through frame by frame and cut out your selection for you, whereas in Premiere Pro you'd have to do very tedious hand-by-hand masking for each single frame. So the way they've utilized this in the Playboi Carti video is they've rotoscoped out Carti himself, and they've used that selection to overlay different objects or make him flash, or even do that effect or transition where they put one part of the scene overlaid on top of the other layer. They're basically cutting out a part of the layer and then placing that layer on top of the one underneath it. So as you can see, it's not even really that good of a cut. It's pretty choppy in reality. So what that looks like in a real-time example is I've cut this car out of the scene, and now if I wanted to, I could place it on top of another video file. So by using stacked layers, now I've got this car seemingly driving on top of this other clip, whatever that clip may be. You can use your imagination. And then once I stopped that rotoscope, the original clip comes back into play. So just like in the video, one part of your object starts, then it cuts into the original video. So in this specific point in the video, I'm going to go frame by frame. You can see the next scene comes in by the bright parts first. It's kind of just like a Luma fade, except they don't fade it gradually. They just jump from one point to another. So the bright parts come in, and then it transitions into the rest of the clip. And you could do something similar in Premiere Pro by using Luma type of keying. So I'll actually use a similar clip for my example. We've got some neon lights, some bright white against a darker background, just like in the music video. And if I stack this layer on top of another one, I can make it appear in that same fashion by using different keying effects. So in this case, I could just use the Luma key, which is just a determination based on brightness in the clip on what to show and what to hide. Except we're not going to do it gradually. We're going to do it very harshly, which is how you see it done in the video. So for example, we could play around with the threshold and the cutoff until we have a cutoff and threshold that we want. So the higher you do it, the more only the brightest whites will be shown. So let's do this much amount starting here. And then we want the full clip to come in and start playing. So we basically want to just turn the effect off at some point, which a couple seconds after, I could just take the threshold, cut off, and turn it down to 0. But I don't want it to happen gradually, so I will highlight both of these keyframes and set them to hold mode. Now what we've got is something going from 100 right to 0 with nothing gradual in between because we've set the keyframes to hold. And when I play that back, we should have, boom, the lights come in, and then the whole rest of the clip transitions in, kind of just like in the music video. You can also mask in Premiere Pro, but it would just be a lot harder to do it that way. For example, if I wanted to do that same cutaway transition as you see in the video in Premiere Pro without rotoscoping, I'd have to go into the opacity keyframe, press the pen tool, and then create a pen tool selection to mask out our object. And I'd have to do that frame by frame using keyframes, which if you watch my slick walk by transition tutorial, I do show how to do. But basically this will add a mask at that point. And if your object is moving in any capacity, your mask is probably going to need to be keyframed in position and path, which you can do here. And then eventually you just turn the mask off. So one way you could do it is cut the clip when you want the mask to turn off, and on the cut portion of the clip, you just delete that mask. So it starts out the city, that little piece comes in, and then the whole other clip comes in. But doing it in Premiere Pro, you see, you'd have to get pretty tedious with making the mask keyframe and follow the object or person closely, so it doesn't end up having those weird fuzziness if the object moves. Along with all these distortion and mask and keying effects, some of the video takes on a type of film grain, which you can always try to simulate with a little bit of noise video effect in Premiere Pro. So you can use the noise effect, just turn that up a couple bit of percentages and you get that grainy look. And you can also use overlays like film grain overlays. I have several tutorials on that as well. I'll try to link all these relevant ones in the description. But the third and final thing that happens in the video is a bit of timer mapping and back and forth rewinds and fast forwards. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and link you to my speed and timer mapping tutorials. I break it down step by step. I know I'm doing a bit of a shotgun blast of information here, so there's no point in trying to do step by step for 5 different effects. The video would be an hour long. And finally, one thing I would also play around with if you're achieving a similar aesthetic of this video is in After Effects, there's an effect called the Liquify tool. If you go to Effect, Distort, Liquify, you can actually paint your distortions how you want them, kind of like you see all throughout the video. Let me make the brush pressure a lot stronger. You can get those weird warpy trails and just hand distort stuff like you see in the video. Also, another thing, in Premiere Pro you use mirror effect, but in After Effects there's actually a distortion effect called CC Kaleidoscope. It's actually under the Stylize filter section, so CC Kaleido. This gives you an automatic kaleidoscope type of feel that you can adjust. So I can increase the size of that, I can adjust the type of it, just to be unfolding or a wheel or different types of symmetry. And this is another cool thing that I think they might have used to create some of those kaleidoscopy type of effects. But that's just my take on some of the most prominent editing characteristics in the Playboi Carti Magnolia video. Obviously there's a lot more to take into account, like the cinematography, the lighting, the set, the direction, and all that. But these are just some cool editing points for you to hopefully have fun with and create some similarly inspired effects. Obviously I didn't work on this video, I don't know exactly how they did it, but those are my best guesses. And I know it was a bit of a bird's eye view shotgun blast, so hopefully it pointed you in the right direction, and you can go through all those links I mentioned in the description to learn step by step on how to actually do a bit more detailed of the effects that I mentioned. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it below. Go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Odisho to stay in touch with me, and check out the rest of my music video breakdowns in the playlist on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.